Wow, 100%. Okay. Oh, yay, jQuery right there. Today, I'm gonna make a web perf analysis of Pilatus Mountain Resort website. It's a resort in Switzerland built on the top of the Pilatus Mountain. I'm gonna show you how to find performance issues on this website. You can use it to improve your own website. There will definitely be some problems with interaction to the next paint, images, lazyloading, prefetching. There will probably be some huge assets, images that has incorrect sizes. I'll try to show you how you can improve it so you can make your own website better. Now let's start with the homepage. Let's run the Lighthouse. Okay, so the results on desktop seems fine. Almost zero blocking time, zero cumulative layout shifts. Largest Contentfull Paint, 0.6 seconds. So they are not using modern images. Everything is basically JPEG, PNG. There is some CSS in the header. It actually blocks loading. How about the mobile? Oh, that's worse. Header is completely broken on the mobile phone. There's much more blocking time. It seems they are using huge images on the phone. Oof. There's really a lot of JavaScript here. Why is there conversation? I haven't actually opened any chat. Fine, so let's start with the head tag. Wow, Maxon, what was that? It's probably some CMS. Yep. Okay, so they are using some sort of a CMS here. It's not WordPress. I can be sure about that. Generator. Why are they putting the generator information about the CMS into the head tag? Okay, so the first problem I see with the head tag is that they are setting the car set, which is like at the beginning of the head, but the title is right here behind all of these JavaScripts and CSS. If you want the customer to see that the page is loading, the title must be visible instantly, like right after the meta tag for the car set. So the title should go from here all the way up here before the whatever that title is, whatever the doc is. I will switch off the JavaScript to see the head tag without being modified. Okay, that's not good at all. Wow, you should definitely not have a loading screen on your website, at least not for the version without a script. I guess that there's some loading class on the body. Yeah. Oh, fine. Wow, nothing is loaded. Without the JavaScript, nothing is visible. If you have some sort of effects on your website that are basically triggered by JavaScript, you should have some CSS class for no script. So those readers that doesn't wait on the JavaScript to load can see the page in its final form. It doesn't have to be loaded completely, but if it generates, for example, some sort of screens, you will have your content visible on the page, like sliders, title, carousel. It will not be interactive, it will not be pretty, but it at least will have some content. This is bad. Okay, back to the head tag. They are having several scripts here, 1, 2, 3, and they are directly in the head tag. Your head tag is the biggest blocking element on the page. I again said that in my previous videos. If you want to eliminate random blocking resources on the page, you should move your scripts 1, 2, 3, all of them that are not necessarily need to be in the head tag out from the head. So this one have to be like at the beginning of the body. This one again. Okay, so all of those scripts should be like at the beginning of the body or before the content that actually needs JavaScript. Another thing is Favicon icon. If you want the customer again to see that something is happening on the page, even on the slow connection, you want to show him the Favicon icon and the title tag. To improve the loading of the Favicon, you can take the icon. They are not huge, so you can convert them to base 64 and put them directly into the ref tag, ref attribute, and the customer will see it much more earlier, and it will not be another request on the page. Fine. So let's turn on the JavaScript. Nice effect though. Okay, so the header. This is the biggest element on the page the customer is going to see instantly when he loads the website. They're using some sort of mood slider here. I don't know what it is, but those images that are used in the carousel, they are loaded not through a picture tag, neither through the image tag but through background image. This is bad for optimization. You can't set correctly the perfection priority. Neither it is easy to do the lazy loading of those images, of those slides that are not visible instantly. Sliders often within this header, they have some sort of huge images, like in this case, and you want to prefetch them. You want the customer to see the image instantly and not wait on the background and on its priority, load it through some style tag or through verse through some CSS file to be discovered and then load it. It's gonna be slow. You want to use some picture tag, you want to use image tag, and you want to either set fetch priority high if it is a first item in the slider, or lazy loading like loading lazy, and fetch priority low for all other slides within the carousel. You don't want to use background image. Another problem with this is, as I talked at the beginning of the video, I switched off to JavaScript now, and they are not even having any placeholder here. If you have some slider at the header and the customer loads it on slow device, then before everything actually initializes, he's going to see the loader, which is bad. I already said that. But if you remove the loader, you want some sort of a placeholder. So some image that they are having in the background for some items in the slider, they should put it like standalone before the slider actually loads and then remove it when the slider is initialized. This is empty page. And if the customer is going to load it on slow device or somewhere in the train, he's not going to see anything. Okay, these blocks right here, they are probably using some sort of a library that triggers the animation. They are using this animate trigger and animate classes. When you actually change it, it's gonna scroll down. When you add the class, it's gonna scroll up. This can be done easily without library these days. You can use, for example, intersection observer. You can read about it here on the Mozilla org website. Here is an example for that. When you scroll down, you can see the numbers are changing in the div, and you can use it to detect if, for example, some block on the page is visible. If it is, you can slide that content up or down, and it's gonna be like 2 kilobytes of JavaScript. You don't need library for that. Also, you will not need all the effects the library has, so you can program basically like 2 or 3 effects. It's gonna be like 2 kilobytes of JavaScript, 3 kilobytes, and you are going to be just fine. And again, they are loading images for these blocks through the background image. You again don't want to do that. You want to use image or picture tag. If you need to position those images, if they are, for example, too wide or too high, you can use object fit cover or object fit contain to resize the image according to the block where it is going to be rendered, so it can have the same behavior as background, but it is going to have much better priority during the loading of the page. Okay, so how about on the mobile phone? I'm gonna resize the window, I'm gonna load it. One time the dragon is cool, but when you see it on every load, it starts to be annoying. Yeah, so they're animating each of the image. Okay, another block is this one right here. It's a slider. I expected that this is going to be the same slider they are using in the header of the page, but I was wrong. They're using the slick carousel. They're using actually two libraries for the same effect of different shapes and sizes on one page. You can do the same effect with pure CSS and no JavaScript at all. If you go on the Mozilla org website, there's a scroll snap, there's some information about it, and you can scroll left and right, and it has the same effect they are having on their homepage, but you can do it like with pure CSS. It's basically all you need. For these arrows on the left and on the right, when you click on it, you basically can detect the item that is on the left side or right side of the slider, and you can detect if it is visible or not, and you can take that item and scroll it into the view on the right, or you can take it and scroll it into the view on the right, on the left side. So you can basically have these buttons. It's basically all about, I don't know, 2 or 3 kilobytes of JavaScript. It works fine. So now the block with the preview of the mountain. This is how it looks around the Mount Pilatus. There are lakes and other mountains, and there is a city down below, and the same here. If you plan to ever visit Mount Pilatus and you plan to walk up there, there is a path that leads through here. There is a end, and then it leads through here all the way up there, and there is a pub, so you can buy yourself a beer when you finish the road. Or if you don't want to walk there, you can take a cab that leads from the town up there to the mountain, and you can enjoy the view without breaking a sweat. I've checked the iframe, and it doesn't seem that they are not using any lazy loading and fetch priority. So when you load the page, you will instantly load the entire content of the iframe, everything it needs. And I'm pretty sure that I'm right. If I take the URL address here and I go into the network, refresh the page, and I put here the address, yep, you are going to have the 360 perspective content, which you don't want because the content is not yet visible. It's all the way under all those carousels, and the customer doesn't even need to get there. So if you want to load your iframe and you want to do it in a more performant way, you want to set some lazy loading and fetch priority, you can use the native loading lazy attribute and fetch priority attribute to tell the browser this iframe doesn't need to be loaded instantly, wait for it. Okay, so this is actually quite funny. They are not optimizing the 3D viewport of the mountain, but they are optimizing the iframe, and they are using a smart way. They are having the data source and the data source attribute. And when you actually click on this fake YouTube image, they are going to load the iframe. They are going to swap the attributes from the data source to source attribute. And then they are embedding the video actually. Okay, a footer. I guess these images are definitely not lazy loaded. Yep, and I'm right. When you have images in footer, you can again use loading lazy. So we can like loading lazy fetch priority low, and this is going to ensure this image isn't going to be loaded instantly when the page loads. I'm pretty sure if I take it and I use the network tab, let's refresh the page and let's check the image. And yes, it's loaded instantly. And the image is all the way up here in the footer. If you have images in the footer, you want to lazy load them, or if it is an SVG, you might want to embed the SVG like directly into the code and not load it through a request when the image is not visible yet. No, this is cool. Fine. So now the navigation. I've checked those classes, and I hope they are not using any library for the navigation that is like right here on the mobile phone. Sadly, I'm wrong. They are using. I checked those classes menu and I checked. So again, it's a library. Well, it has a lot of effects. Yeah, it's cool, but it's a library. You can basically do the same effect they are having here with like one class and CSS animation from the right. It's gonna be quite cheaper on the entire loading and performance. Okay, so this is the example of the animation they are having on the page. You can do the same with like one line of CSS and a few lines of JavaScript to just toggle the class. Okay, so this is the right. It slides from the right. When I click on the element and I check the animation, okay, so this is like keyframes 0, 100, and there's basically like one class. Okay, another page, experiences at Mount Pilatus. There's gonna be a lot of images. Let's run the Lighthouse. Wow, 100%. How about a mobile phone? Oof. Largest Contentfull Paint, 8 seconds. Total blocking time, 1.1. Yeah, there is nothing, nothing, nothing. And then something happens on the right side. I guess that are going to be those icons right here. Okay, so let's check the icons when I'm here. Okay, so for icons, they are using some sort of a icon font. They are not using the entire icon set, which is good. This is very good. They are using only selected icons on the page. When I open the CSS, they are having, it's probably some application like Icomoon. They are using only several icons, which is good. It's not loading the entire font. If you want to have the same optimization they are having, you can use, for example, this application. You can select those icons you want. You can open the common application. You can, for example, select several icons here, then generate the font and download it. You can configure the font. You can remove the support for EA. You can name the font, and you're going to have only like 4 icons. You're not going to load the entire font for just 5 icons on the page. But they're actually having a few issues with those icons here. If the font, which they have in the external CSS file, doesn't load that quickly, it's definitely going to cause some sort of a layout shift. You can detect that if you have the before here and you disable icon font. It's gonna shift like right here to the left. And I return it, hey, it swaps from the left to right. You can see it right now. You can prevent this behavior. Just say what's the width. You can check the width of those icons you have at some place. For example, 25 pixels. So it's gonna be width 25 pixels, and the height is 43. So the height 43 pixels roughly. And now when you actually stop the icon from being visible, like the font is for example not yet loaded, it's not gonna shift. Okay, so I hide the icon and I show it again, and the navigation at the top of the page doesn't move from the left to right like on the party, the button does. The breadcrumb is barely visible. Okay, images again through the background image, no fetch priority, no lazy loading. Huh, that's interesting. They're actually having some sort of a lazy loading, and I switched off the JavaScript. They're having this data interchange attribute, which they swap for the style attribute, and they are not even having the loader here. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this is what it will look like to an preview generator or something else that doesn't use the JavaScript. It's gonna look much better than the homepage. But it's bad because the homepage should look like the best on the entire page, at least the homepage, if nothing else. So the booking and planning page, let's load it. Wow, effect, one effect, second effect, less images here. Okay, how about Lighthouse on a mobile phone? 62%. Okay, fine. Okay, so the largest contentful paint on this page is this font right here. It is 4.6 seconds. I've checked what it is already. Book your stay on Mount Pilatus now. This optimization is going to be a bit tricky. If you have an external font on your page, it's some, I don't even know what font it is. You don't want the font to be in the external file. You want like base 64 font, and you want to load it instantly directly in the CSS. They're actually loading icons from an external file, which is one render blocking thing, second render blocking thing, 4, 5, etc. Oof, there is another one. It's like, yeah, that's the font for the block right here, which is 1, 2. Oof, there's a lot of them. And you want some external font on the website today, you don't need all these formats. They are actually having like the true type, WOF to embed it on open type. You are going to be fine with the WOF format. So all you need is like this one light right here, this one right here, and so on. And you can use base 64, and you can put the font like directly into the CSS. The browser will not have to find this path to the font, will not have to load it, and there will be no chaining in the requests like load this CSS, then load this font, and this is going to cause a lot of loading problems. You want the font be directly in the CSS, especially when it is not that huge, which in this case they are having some italic font here, some bold font. They are not having many cuts of the font, so it's going to be much more faster if it is going to be in the CSS directly. Therefore, it should improve this block, the largest contentful paint on this page. I actually checked the logo they are having in the header of the page in the navigation, and they are not using any fetch priority. If it is logo on your page, and especially in the form of SVG, and it is actually like this small, 8.3 kilobytes, you want to embed the logo, the SVG, through some sort of a framework or CMS functionality directly into the page. It's going to be like one image. It's not going to cause any requests, and it's going to be visible instantly, so the customer will know that the page is loading. It just takes a while. This actually is slowing the page down. Okay, so Pilatus live page, 78% mobile phone. And I've been talking about logo, and the logo is the largest contentful paint on the page. Now, if it would be directly embedded SVG or base64 image, it's gonna be like much faster. There will be no delay. There will be no 4.1 seconds waiting on the logo to load. These small images right here, like for the weather, if you have something like that on your page, you either want to be embedded base 64 or you want the image to be lazy loaded. You don't want this images doesn't have to be loaded instantly. One more thing I want to check on the homepage. The new metric Google wants to be improved on every website. Interaction to the next paint. I'm gonna use a tool from this company. It's called Debugbear. You can get to their debugger. It's a debugbear, debugbear.com enp debugger. And this is going to show you which element on the page is fast. For example, after click, if it is a drop down, if it opens instantly, how long it took. It will show you also the real data Google have about this interaction. If the interaction is slow, it's going to be red. If it is okay, it's going to be green. And every red interaction you have on the page should be improved. I'm going to take the home page. I'm going to run the test. When the debugbear finishes all the checks, it will show you this table. There is a real data from Google. This is the time it took to the debugbear to test each element on average. You see, this is exactly like the problem. When you have such loader on the page, it's going to cause you problems during all the print screens. You can see basically nothing from this analytic result. But all those interactions like click, 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 100 milliseconds, 180 milliseconds, 32, 40, and 80. And I don't see exactly what happened right here, 180. But I guess it's gonna be the live, this one button right here. So let's, for example, check this one. Okay, so let's check the live button. This is the element, and these are the handlers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 handlers. 7 handlers are going to be triggered every time you click on this element. That's not good. If you have on your page global handlers like those that, for example, are closing carousels, sliders, drop downs, navigations, and everything else to prevent some blocking of the view of the user on the mobile phone or closing other navigations, so a new one can pop out. You want to attach that handler only when the navigation opens. So it can look like this. You click on the navigation opens, you attach a listener to the document that is going to be used only once. And when you actually close the navigation, you remove the listener from the document, so there is no unnecessarily listener on the document. And no unnecessary listener is going to be triggered when you click on button, then doesn't have to do anything with the navigation. And I hope I'm wrong, but this is often a behavior of a library. Yay, jQuery, right there. And a console log. jQuery on its own isn't bad, but all of these global events, they are, well, not necessary. And a lot of that can be written in vanilla JavaScript, so you don't need jQuery. But I don't know, again, how long the page actually exists. This is another example. On click, on click, on click, another one. All of these data closable, something doesn't have to be global. It should be directly added to the element. In 5 handlers, it's not that bad. But imagine you have 20 elements. It's gonna trigger 20 handlers and 20 check on the background of jQuery if it actually can execute that given handler on that document. It's a lot of work, a lot of unnecessary work. You might want to eliminate that to improve the interaction to the next paint. Okay, so I couldn't find any more interesting pages on this website. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button. And if you want me to analyze your own website, leave it in the comments and see you in the next video.